In this video, I'm gonna be sharing what I've learned in my 8-year career in landscape photography so you guys don't make the same mistakes I did, but instead hurdle your way towards taking better photos. Coming up. Hey, what's up guys, and welcome into the channel where I post weekly videos on how you can take better landscape photos through in-field and post-processing tutorials, as well as gear reviews. So if you're new here, if you're into landscape photography, consider subscribing to this channel. Now, in this video specifically, we're really gonna hit the ground running in the most important things that I've learned in my 8-year career in landscape photography, like the mistakes I've made going out and shooting by trial and error, really trying to figure out things like settings, cameras, compositions, all those things packed into one video so that you guys can start taking better photos immediately. Listen, I know what it's like. I've been through the ups, the downs. I've forgotten my camera to go out into the field to take photos. I've forgotten things like memory cards. I've tried to figure out settings and compositions. And over the 8 years that I've been shooting and really practicing and making a living in landscape photography, I've learned some valuable lessons. And you guys don't want to make the same mistakes I did. You don't want to go out and make a mistake on an epic composition and get back to your computer and be like, why couldn't I have done it the other way around? Or why couldn't I have done this or that? I've been there, I've been in your shoes. I remember one time I took a trip out to the western part of the United States to some national parks, came back and saw the images that I took and was just like, I can't even believe I just spent all that money going out there. And so I want to make this video to help you guys out, to get a better understanding of what it takes to take a great landscape photograph. So the first thing that we're really going to be into, the first lesson that I've learned in landscape photography, is that your camera does not even matter. Your camera doesn't matter. This thing right here doesn't matter at all. It's just not really, I'm not going to do that. But your camera does not matter at all. Your lens selection and your settings that you choose do matter. You need to remember that in landscape photography, this is not the photographer. This has nothing to do with your selection of settings, of lenses, of composition. This is only a tool that you use to go out and shoot images. So you need to take care of your tool, you need to treat it as a tool, but in the end, you have to remember that this is only the tool you use to take better photos. You, the photographer, are the one who selects the lenses that you choose. You, the photographer, are the one who selects, well, I'm gonna use this setting versus this one, this exposure speed versus this one. Your understanding and practice of using different settings in a landscape photography location matters more than the camera that you buy. So if you're concerned about shooting with a crop sensor like this A6000, don't worry about that. If you're concerned about saving enough money to buy like a Sony a7R III or to buy a Nikon Z7, something like that, like a brand new model that has all these bells and whistles, don't worry about that so much. I would instead focus on spending my money towards in-field experience, towards workshops, towards going out and shooting by yourself and practicing these compositional techniques to help you getting in the practice of settings to use and of compositions to construct in your landscape photography. On the composition thing, number 2, your composition matters most. Your investment and your knowledge of compositions is the most important thing that you can do as a landscape photographer. I got bogged down when I first started shooting. I was shooting with a Canon Rebel T2i and I was like, man, my gear is not good. I had 2 kit lenses on it and I was just like, the gear just isn't there yet. But when I started reading articles from professional landscape photographers on their blogs, I slowly started to realize that my gear didn't matter at all. It was the investment of time and composition and understanding what constructs a good photograph is what matters most. How do you do that? How do you go about your settings and selections of composition? And that investment was 100% free. It was only the time that I used to go out and practice those things is the only investment that I was making, and it like yielded way better photos than I was originally taking, practicing foregrounds, practicing things like leading lines. I was practicing things like perspectives, getting different angles on locations. So doing all this and then investing time in going out and shooting your landscape photography is way more important than anything else. And actually, it's the most important investment that you're going to make in landscape photography. So on that note, if you want some compositional tips, you can click on the card that's showing up right here on your screen that'll help you get better compositions in your landscape photography. The number 3 thing, I just kind of alluded to it a little bit, but your perspectives make or break a photo. The perspective that you have on a landscape makes or breaks that image. Do you have a low perspective on a location that you're not really happy with? Well, it might yield a better photo if you move up and get a different perspective. If you move to the side and construct a better composition, that may yield a better photo. So moving your feet rather than, planting your tripod into the ground and really saying, this is my photo location, this is where I'm gonna shoot, that's not gonna yield the best photos. What you need to work on is taking a photo, getting that initial shot of what you see right when you go up to a location, and then work your way around a location 360 degrees if you can, 180 degrees if you can, working different perspectives, highs, lows, sides, different angles on your compositions. This is gonna help you take better photos. Remember, we're digital photographers for the most of us, so we're not really limited to the amount of photographs that you can take going out and shooting film. We have umpteen amounts of photographs that we can take shooting with digital cameras. So use that to the max ability. Come back with like 300 photos from a location. Really use up your memory cards and shoot different perspectives. Get a drone out if you have to take different perspectives, high angles on things, bird's eye views on things, different options for you as a landscape photographer. I think drones are so important right now to expanding your creativity as a landscape photographer. Number 4 thing, guys, you really have to put yourself in the best situation possible when it comes to photographing great light. The sunlight is your main source of light in landscape photography. If you're not using light painting or anything like that, if you're only shooting during the day, the sunlight's going to be your main source of light. So how do you use that light best? Well, there are multiple planning apps that you can get, but I personally believe that PhotoPills is going to be your best option of planning this stuff out. You can use PhotoPills to do things like look at augmented reality of where the sun is going to be based on your location at any point of the day. It's going to do things like help you look up Milky Ways at any time during the year. It has so much to offer landscape photographers, and when you get that app and you download it on your phone, you're going to be almost overwhelmed by the amount that it does. But I made a video that you can click on right here that's going to show you exactly how to use PhotoPills to take the best landscape photos that you can. So check that out whenever you get done watching this video and download PhotoPills, the app. Number 5 thing, guys, is the photographer's progression. Now, as I've been shooting over the last 8, now getting into the 9th year of my photography career, it's really coming to me that there is a natural progression that you take in photography. You start out copying people's photos. You start out looking at compositions and looking at different kind of shots, like exploring what your style is going to be, whether that's using huge foregrounds, whether that's like macro photography, or if you like shooting night photography. You go out and shoot everything, like everything that encapsulates landscape photography. If you see an image that you like, you're naturally going to want to try to reconstruct that, learn how the photographer did it, and then do it yourself. Try to like up your game in that kind of style. So what you want to try to do is develop your own style over time. So there's the natural progression of copying people's photos and copying styles. Then moving on, you find maybe like 3, 4, 5 different landscape photographers that you really like, that you want to copy, and you take their photo and then you up it. You try to make it your own. Then after that, it gets even more complicated. You're like, well, I want to take my images to the next level. You take their style and then you move it up. You try to add your little touches of flair to it and create your own images. And these can be in locations of national parks, different shots they've had. The goal of this is your end final result in the progression of photography is that you get to the point at the very end that you're constructing your own creative composition that no one else really has, and that's your creative vision of landscape photography. So you move from copying people's photos to creating your own photo. So that's the goal of this. And then guys, number 6 thing, any sign language people out there know what I'm doing with my hand right now. The 6th thing, most important thing in landscape photography that I have learned that has helped me take better photographs, better compositions, everything, as that shapes matter in your photo. You want to pair up shapes in an image of the similar things. So triangles, you want to try to use multiple triangles in one image. Circles or arcs in an image, you want to try to multiply those. Lines, even squares or rectangles or rhombuses. Like, you thought you were never going to use geometry again in real life, but here we are. We have triangles, we have circles, we have squares, we have rhombus. I mean, what is the definition of a rhombus? I don't really know, but it's kind of like a rectangular Tennessee shaped thing. Pair up similar objects or shapes within your landscape photos and you're instantly going to start seeing better compositions because you have those stacking shapes or similar shapes in a photograph. So you really look at what you're shooting, how you're shooting it, how you're composing shapes, and then what happens is something unlocks in your brain. You immediately stop seeing landscapes or outdoor scenes and you start seeing shapes instead of objects. Trees become triangles, mountains become triangles, waterfalls become linear shapes or curves. You have all these different things going on within an image that you can copy and replicate and communicate repetition in your composition, and then people see your images and they're like, whoa, this is awesome. Why do I like this so much? I don't really know, I don't really care, but this is an awesome image. Guys, take these 6 tips that I just shared with you and implement them into your landscape photography because it's really gonna help you take better photos and you're gonna jump maybe 5 years in advance of where I started and the track that I was on, that progression in landscape photography. Don't get bogged down so much in your gear. Don't get bogged down so much in like failing in a shot. That's when you learn most in landscape photography and are able to up your game and really figure out what makes a great photo. Embrace the failures, learn from them, replicate them, and then implement knowledge like this into your landscape photography, and you're gonna start seeing way better results. Guys, subscribe to this channel for more videos like this that are gonna help you become a better landscape photographer. If you wanna keep watching on tips on how to be a better photographer, you can watch this playlist right here that's showing up on your screen, or if you wanna watch another video from this channel, click or tap your screen right here. Or if you wanna subscribe, click or tap your screen right here. See you next time, guys. Keep shooting.